How important is it for the husband or the wife to understand what betrayal really does?
In a moment that left millions of viewers stunned, Joni Lamb, co-founder of Daystar Television Network, delivered a farewell that was unexpected and deeply emotional. The moment, broadcast live to millions across the world, marked a dramatic turning point in both her life and the future of Daystar. For years, Daystar had been synonymous with Joni and her late husband, Marcus Lamb. Together, they built the network from the ground up, creating one of the largest Christian broadcasting entities in the world. But in this emotional broadcast, Joni revealed that she was stepping away from the network she had poured her heart and soul into. This decision was not merely a career move. It was a personal transformation, signaling the end of an era for Daystar and the beginning of a new chapter in Joni's life. The shock of Joni's announcement. On live television, Joni's voice wavered as she addressed her audience, her emotions palpable as she announced her departure. As the camera zoomed in, viewers could see the strain in her eyes, an emotional rawness that she had kept hidden for so long. This wasn't just a corporate decision, it was the culmination of years of personal sacrifice, immense emotional turmoil, and the weight of the responsibilities that came with running such a powerful global media network. Her farewell was more than just a goodbye to Daystar. It was a reflection of the deep internal battle Joni had been fighting for years. The question echoed through the hearts of her followers. Why now? Why leave when Daystar had reached such tremendous heights? Her voice cracked with emotion as she expressed her gratitude to the millions of viewers who had supported Daystar and her vision over the years. But beneath the surface, it was clear that there was more at play than just the natural evolution of a career. There was a personal reckoning, a need to step back, to reorient her life in a way that would allow her to heal and rediscover herself away from the public spotlight. The legacy of Daystar Television Network. To understand the weight of Joni's departure, it's important to look at the legacy of Daystar Television Network, a network that was built from the ground up. Daystar, founded in 1998, quickly grew into one of the most significant Christian television networks in the world. The network's mission was to spread the gospel and share messages of faith, hope, and love with viewers around the globe. From its humble beginnings, Daystar expanded rapidly, reaching millions of households in countries across the world. The network became a cornerstone of Christian media, with Joni and Marcus at its helm. For Joni, Daystar was not just a business venture, it was a calling. She was the heart and soul of Daystar, working tirelessly behind the scenes to ensure the network's success. Her role in the organization was far-reaching. She was not only a co-founder, but also the emotional and spiritual anchor of the network. Together with Marcus, Joni dedicated her life to creating a platform that would broadcast messages of hope to people all over the world. Her involvement with Daystar was personal. It wasn't about fame or fortune for Joni. It was about serving others, reaching people in need, and offering them a source of hope in their lives. Daystar became a reflection of her values: faith, family, and a deep commitment to spreading God's love. As the co-host of several programs, Joni had the opportunity to directly connect with the viewers. For millions, she became more than just a television personality. She became a trusted voice, a leader in the Christian community, and a symbol of strength and resilience. The personal struggles behind the scenes. Despite the immense success and recognition, Joni's journey was not without its struggles. Behind the public facade of a successful media mogul, Joni faced challenges that few people knew about. Her life, intertwined with Marcus, was marked by both personal and professional battles that could have broken anyone else. The Lambs were not immune to the pressures that come with running a global organization, and their private lives were often overshadowed by their public personas. Joni faced numerous personal battles, including dealing with the weight of running a network that reached millions of people while managing the demands of her family life. The intense pressure of maintaining such a high-profile position eventually began to take its toll on Joni's mental and physical health. Burnout became a very real issue for her. and she admitted that she had begun to feel disconnected from her own spiritual life, despite her role in Christian ministry. She struggled to find balance, to maintain her inner peace while constantly being in the spotlight. The weight of expectations, the constant demand for perfection, and the emotional labor of leading a global organization left Joni feeling drained. Adding to this strain was the devastating loss of Marcus in 2021. His sudden death due to complications from COVID-19 was a blow from which Joni struggled to recover. As the co-founder of Daystar, Marcus had been her partner in both life and ministry. Together, they had built Daystar from the ground up. His passing not only left a gaping hole in Joni's heart, but also marked the beginning of a period of deep personal and professional crisis for her. The grief of losing Marcus was something Joni carried silently, struggling to cope with the pain while continuing to lead the network. For years, Joni maintained her composure in front of the public, but the reality of her inner turmoil became increasingly difficult to hide. Her emotional strength was undeniable, but it came at a significant cost. As a leader, she had dedicated herself to the mission of Daystar and its global outreach, but in doing so, she had neglected her own well-being. The decision to step away. By the time Joni made the decision to step away from Daystar, it was clear that the weight of her responsibilities had become overwhelming. Her farewell was not just a professional departure, it was a deeply personal decision to reclaim her life, her health, and her spiritual connection. For years, she had poured herself into Daystar. But at what cost? Her decision to leave was not just about the network. It was about rediscovering who she was outside of the persona she had built for herself. Joni's farewell was a moment of deep reflection. She had given so much to others throughout her life, but now she needed to focus on herself. It was clear that she had reached a breaking point, and her decision to step away was an acknowledgement of the need for self-care, healing, and renewal. This was not a decision made lightly, but one that came after years of personal struggle, emotional turmoil, and the grief of losing her life partner. What's next for Joni Lamb? With Joni's emotional departure from Daystar, many people are left wondering what comes next for this iconic leader. After spending decades building Daystar, her decision to step away has left a void that will be difficult to fill. What will Joni do now? Will she retire from public life altogether? Or will she find a new way to serve others in a different capacity? Joni has hinted that her next chapter will involve focusing on her family, reconnecting with her faith, and perhaps exploring new avenues for service. While her next steps remain unclear, one thing is certain: Joni's work is far from over. Despite stepping away from Daystar, her passion for ministry and her faith in God remain as strong as ever. The next phase of her life will undoubtedly be shaped by her desire to serve others, but this time it may take a different form, one that allows her to focus on her own healing, growth, and personal journey. While her public career at Daystar may be over, Joni's legacy will continue to inspire. She is not someone who craves the spotlight or seeks public accolades. Her journey has always been about aligning her life with God's plan, and it's likely that her next steps will reflect this deep sense of purpose. Whether through writing, speaking, or serving in a more behind-the-scenes role, Joni's influence will continue to reach people in profound ways. Daystar's future. Without Joni Lamb. Joni's departure leaves Daystar facing an uncertain future. For over 2 decades, Daystar has been a beacon of Christian broadcasting, providing messages of faith and hope to millions of viewers. With Joni stepping away, many are left wondering what the future holds for the network. Daystar, however, is more than just one person. It is a team, a vision, and a mission that will continue, even without its co-founder. The network's future will undoubtedly be shaped by the changing landscape of Christian broadcasting. The rise of digital media, social platforms, and new technologies is reshaping how people consume content. Daystar will need to adapt to this changing environment if it hopes to stay relevant in the digital age. While Joni's absence will certainly be felt, the network's mission will remain the same: to spread the gospel and offer hope to a world in need. While Daystar faces challenges in the wake of Joni's departure, it is unlikely that the network will collapse. The staff is dedicated to continuing the mission of Daystar, and the leadership team is committed to ensuring that the vision of spreading God's message to the world endures. However, the shift in leadership raises important questions. Can Daystar continue to thrive without the lambs at the helm? Can the network adapt to the changing media landscape while still staying true to its original mission? The future of Daystar may depend on how well it embraces new technologies, engages with viewers in new ways, and finds innovative approaches to delivering its message. Joni's departure may be the catalyst for Daystar to reimagine what it means to be a Christian broadcaster in the 21st century. The network will need to evolve and innovate in order to stay connected to its audience and maintain its relevance in an increasingly digital world. A new era for Joni and Daystar. Joni's departure from Daystar marks the end of an era for both the network and her personal journey. But this is far from the end of her story. As she steps away from the spotlight, Joni embarks on a new chapter of her life, one that will undoubtedly be just as impactful as her work with Daystar. The legacy she leaves behind is one of unwavering faith, dedication, and a deep commitment to serving others. What's next for Joni Lamb is still a mystery, but it's clear that her journey is far from finished. The next chapter is waiting to be written, and it's bound to inspire and impact lives in ways we can't yet imagine. In the wake of her departure, Daystar faces a future that is uncertain but filled with potential. The network will have to adapt and evolve, but its mission of spreading hope and faith remains unchanged. Whether it's through new leadership, new platforms, or new ways of connecting with audiences, Daystar's story is far from over. The legacy of Joni Lamb will continue to guide the network, even as she steps into a new phase of her life. Joni Lamb's farewell, a transition into a new chapter. Joni Lamb's departure from Daystar Television Network marks the closing of one era and the dawning of another. As the co-founder of Daystar, alongside her late husband Marcus Lamb, she played an instrumental role in transforming the network into a beacon of faith-based programming that reached millions worldwide. Her farewell on live television, tearful and heartfelt, captured the attention of viewers who had long followed her journey. But her decision to step down from the role that had defined her professional life for over 2 decades was not a simple one. It was a decision laden with personal and professional struggles, and it highlights the complexity of life in the public eye. The weight of leadership, a monumental responsibility. Joni Lamb's leadership at Daystar was synonymous with the network itself. From its early days in 1998, when Daystar was founded, she and Marcus envisioned a platform where Christian values could be broadcast to the world. The network was not just a business venture for the Lambs, it was a ministry, a calling that demanded immense dedication and sacrifice. For over 2 decades, Joni poured her heart and soul into the organization, balancing the demands of running a global media empire while maintaining her public persona as a compassionate, faith-driven leader. But the toll that such a demanding role took on her became increasingly apparent. The weight of leading a global ministry, while also carrying the legacy of her late husband, became a heavy burden. In her farewell address, Joni openly acknowledged the personal and emotional challenges she had faced. The constant public scrutiny, the expectations placed upon her as a leader, and the never-ending demands of managing the Daystar network all contributed to an overwhelming sense of exhaustion. While she had always been portrayed as the embodiment of strength, grace, and unwavering faith, it became clear that even someone of her caliber was not immune to the pressures of leadership. The toll of personal loss. The emotional toll on Joni was exacerbated by the death of her beloved husband Marcus in 2021. His sudden passing left a void not only in her life, but also within the Daystar family. For years, Marcus had been her partner in both ministry and life, and his loss was a devastating blow. Joni candidly spoke about the profound grief she experienced, and how it affected her ability to continue in her role at Daystar with the same level of energy and enthusiasm she once had. Grief is a deeply personal experience, and for Joanna, it was compounded by the need to maintain a public appearance of strength. While the world mourned with her, Joanna found herself in a difficult position. She had to continue leading Daystar and carrying on Marcus's legacy, all while privately grappling with the immense sorrow of losing her partner in both ministry and life. Her decision to step away from the network was, in many ways, an acknowledgement of the need to heal from this personal loss, a painful but necessary step in her journey toward recovery. The burden of expectations. Joanna's departure was also a result of the immense pressure that came with being the public face of Daystar. She had spent years in the spotlight, serving as a leader and role model for millions of viewers. For many, she was not just the co-founder of Daystar. She was a symbol of resilience, grace, and devotion. As such, the expectations placed on her were unrelenting. Each decision she made, each program that aired, each outreach effort initiated, was scrutinized by an audience that had come to rely on her presence for comfort and inspiration. But the emotional weight of these expectations took a toll. Joanna was not just managing a network, she was living up to a persona that had been carefully cultivated over years. This public persona required a level of emotional and spiritual resilience that eventually led her to a breaking point. In her farewell address, she spoke candidly about the exhaustion she felt, both physically and mentally, and the emotional toll of trying to balance her personal well-being with her public responsibilities. The moment of vulnerability. Perhaps the most profound aspect of Joanna's farewell was her willingness to be vulnerable. For someone who had spent so many years in the public eye, maintaining an image of strength and poise, it was a deeply personal moment of reflection. In her goodbye, she admitted that she was not invincible, that the years of relentless work, personal grief, and the weight of leadership had caught up with her. For many viewers, this moment of vulnerability was a revelation. It humanized Joanna in a way that her public persona never had. She was not just the steadfast leader of Daystar. She was a woman who, like everyone else, faced challenges, struggled with loss, and needed time to heal. Her decision to step away from the network was not just a professional move. It was a deeply personal decision to prioritize her own well-being and to allow herself the space to grieve and heal. Reclaiming her life and health. Joanna's farewell was not just about leaving Daystar, it was about reclaiming her own life. For years, she had devoted herself to the network, to her ministry, and to the millions of people who looked to her for guidance. But in doing so, she had neglected her own health, both physical and mental. Her decision to step away was a conscious choice to focus on herself for the first time in years. In the months leading up to her farewell, Joanna had openly discussed the struggles she had faced with burnout, stress, and emotional exhaustion. These issues are all too common for those in positions of power and influence, especially for individuals like Joanna, who had dedicated her life to a cause greater than herself. Her decision to take a step back was not an indication of failure, but rather an acknowledgement that self-care is an essential part of sustaining any ministry, particularly one that has such a far-reaching impact. The legacy of the Lambs. As Joanna Lamb steps away from Daystar, it is impossible to ignore the lasting legacy she and Marcus Lamb built together. Through their vision and tireless work, they transformed Daystar into one of the largest and most influential Christian networks in the world. But their impact went beyond the media empire they created. The Lambs' commitment to spreading the message of faith, hope, and love touched millions of lives across the globe. Joanna's role in this success was undeniable. As co-founder and co-leader of Daystar, she helped guide the network through its most challenging moments. From financial struggles to public criticism, she remained steadfast in her mission to share the gospel with the world. Under her leadership, Daystar grew from a small ministry into a powerful global platform for Christian programming. Her leadership style, grounded in compassion, humility, and authenticity, became the backbone of Daystar's success. But Joanna's impact extends far beyond the network. Her work with the Daystar Foundation, which supports humanitarian efforts around the world, is just one example of how her commitment to service and faith made a difference in the lives of those in need. Through the foundation, Joanna and Marcus supported global outreach efforts that provided food, medical care, and educational opportunities to communities around the world. Her influence can also be seen in the countless people whose lives were touched by her ministry. Whether through Daystar's television programming, charity events, or faith-based initiatives, Joanna and Marcus worked to make a lasting difference. Their shared vision created a global community that was centered on love, service, and faith. The future of Daystar. Joanna's departure raises the question, what does the future hold for Daystar? The network has been a cornerstone of Christian media for over 2 decades, and her absence leaves a significant void. However, Daystar's foundation is strong, and its leadership team is committed to continuing the mission that Joanna and Marcus established. The challenge for Daystar will be to honor its past while adapting to a changing media landscape. The world of Christian broadcasting is evolving, with new platforms and technologies reshaping the way people consume content. To remain relevant, Daystar will need to embrace these changes and find new ways to engage with its audience. This may include expanding its reach through digital and social media, or finding innovative ways to connect with viewers on a more personal level. While Joanna's departure is undoubtedly a loss, it also represents an opportunity for Daystar to redefine itself for the future. Joanna's personal journey ahead. As Joni Lamb transitions into a new phase of her life, there is much speculation about what comes next for her. Will she continue her ministry in a new capacity, or will she take a step back from the public eye entirely? Joanna has hinted that her next chapter will involve a more personal focus, spending time with her family, reconnecting with her spiritual roots, and perhaps exploring new ways to serve others. One thing is certain, Joanna's faith and commitment to God remain as strong as ever. Her decision to step away from Daystar is not an end, but a new beginning. Whether she decides to write, speak, or serve in a behind-the-scenes capacity, her legacy of faith, love, and service will continue to inspire future generations. A call to keep the faith. Joanna's emotional farewell was not just a goodbye, it was a call to action. As she stepped away from Daystar, she encouraged her viewers to continue living with purpose, faith, and love. Her message was clear. The mission of spreading hope and love was not just her responsibility, it was the responsibility of everyone who had been touched by Daystar's message. Her final words urged her followers to keep their faith strong and their hearts open. Even though she was leaving the network, her commitment to God's work remained unwavering. Her belief that Daystar would continue to thrive was a testament to her faith in the network's mission and the strength of the community they had built together. Conclusion: a new beginning. Joni Lamb's departure from Daystar marks the end of an era, but it is also the beginning of a new chapter. Her legacy of faith, love, and service will continue to inspire those who have been touched by her ministry. As Daystar moves forward, it will undoubtedly face challenges, but it will also have the opportunity to grow and evolve. The road ahead is uncertain, but with its strong foundation and loyal audience, Daystar is poised to continue its mission of spreading the message of hope to the world. Joanna's journey is far from over. The impact she has had on the world will continue to resonate long after her departure from Daystar. As she embarks on this new chapter of her life, her message of hope, faith, and love will remain a guiding light for all those who have followed her journey.